Hi all, my name is Maxim Arkhangelsky and we continue our series of VCSP how-to videos. Here in this lesson you will learn how to configure a replication job within the Veeam Backup and Replication. First of all, Veeam Backup and Replication provides disaster recovery through image-based virtual machine replication. So in the end you have a ready-to-go state virtual machine which is ready to boot up, and you can boot up it manually, or you can run a failover plan within the Veeam Backup and Replication. But in any case, you should run a replication job before it. And here are the scenarios which are supported. So it might be different, and varies specifically to your case. But the major ones is disaster recovery within infrastructure as a service environment, disaster recovery between data centers, and migration between data centers. And following replication options are available to you. So, Veeam Backup and Replication scenarios from vSphere to vSphere, from vCloud Director to vCloud Director, from Hyper-V to Hyper-V. In case you would like to replicate also to external service provider, you might also use vSphere to vCloud Director option, but in this case vCloud Director to vCloud Director will be not supported. So let's take a closer look on how this replication works. So basically you create a one-on-one native copy of a virtual machine. It's in ready-to-go state, it's ready to boot up, and you can run failover plan from Veeam Backup and Replication. So basically you have a number of snapshots available on the disaster recovery host, and you can even roll back your replicas in case of the need. So for example, last replica has some malware. You can roll it back to the previous state upon your schedule. In case of data loss, you can run failover, you can run granular recovery, so it might be also needed for SQL servers, for example, for Oracle servers. Also Active Directory, Exchange, SharePoint are supported. And file level recovery for sure. In case of low bandwidth, you might use replica seeding and replica mapping. So replica seeding is the option allows you to keep some traffic. So for example, you have already a backup of this virtual machine resides in the disaster recovery hosts here. So here you might have some backups as well if you have a repository. So you might recover it and just map it, or create a replica seed from the backup. It would be also an option. And now let me switch to my lab and I will show you how it looks in Veeam Backup and Replication. So first of all, you should have Veeam Backup and Replication to synchronize data, and you should add your primary and secondary hosts into Veeam Backup and Replication. So basically you should go to the inventory pane of Veeam Backup and Replication and click Add Server. Here you should add your vSphere environment, your VMware environment, which might be vSphere or vCloud Director. So in case you want to synchronize synchronize virtual machines between hosts reside in different environment, you should place them both here in the inventory pane. From the licensing perspective, it doesn't mean that license will be consumed twice, so only source virtual machine should be licensed, but you can replicate it to many destinations within one license. Yeah, for Hyper-V you should also add it if needed. So yeah, this is just the basic infrastructure like you added for the backup. Nothing related specifically to replication here. In terms of replication, we have a couple of options here, and first of them is a regular replication. So when you create a replication job, you have just two options, vSphere and Hyper-V. And I will show you the existing one for vSphere environment. Alright, so first step is to define name for this job, and there are a couple of important settings as well. So first step is not the place you would like to skip. So we have these advanced options available for you. So this is replica seeding. So like I've mentioned, you can just seed it into the backup which resides on your repository. UI changes. You can also play around with network remapping if by any chance your your existing network for this production virtual machine doesn't exist on disaster recovery location, so you can remap this network. And replica re-IP configuration, so this will allow you to change IP addressing scheme for virtual machines which you synchronize. So let me enable all of options and we will go through them. So the next step, you should add virtual machines to replicate. In my case, it's just a tag inherited from VMware vSphere, and you can also add your own VMs based on data center view, based on data store view, based on text. So you can switch here between virtual machine templates, data stores and virtual machines, and VM and text. Yeah, so I can switch between these parts and choose virtual machines which might reside on different data store. Next one is destination. So this is the host or cluster which have been previously added into inventory pane here, like I showed you previously. And you should pick resource pool, VM folder, and data store where your replicated virtual machines will reside. Next option is network remapping. So this is the one I've picked here on the names tab. So this is this one. So network remapping allows you to specify a network for virtual machines. So here is the source network. Yeah, I have many of them. So you can pick source network and define target network, and they will be applied to your replicated virtual machines. I will not change anything here, and we will move on to the next step. So re-IP configuration. So re-IP configuration literally means that this is a rule. This is a map of rules which are available for you to be added to specify IPs in the production side to IPs in disaster recovery side. So yeah, here is the mask for source virtual machine, for target virtual machine, for DNS servers, description if needed. Don't use 0 to define a range of IP addresses, just use this specific character. Then we go next to the job settings. And here we should keep the repository for metadata, place a suffix for replicated virtual machines if needed, so you could identify them as virtual machines for disaster recovery, and restore points to keep. It's not possible to put 99, but well, 28 is for sure possible. Data transfer. So data transfer options could be optimized for bandwidth as well. So on top of network options we have, so you can transfer data between two proxies directly. So proxy is the component which is responsible for processing the data from production host. You will send the compressed data based on changes to the disaster recovery location. So source and target proxy could be directly connected between each other, or you can send data through built-in WAN accelerators. So WAN accelerators give you a possibility to save some traffic. It will not speed up a production network for sure, but it will compare the digest of the virtual machine files between before sending the data. Next option is seeding. So this is seeding and mapping to save you some traffic as well. So if you have a backup on the repository and you would like to use it as a seed for this replica, you should just pick this checkbox and pick repository where this backup file resides. Yeah, if the seeding option is enabled and there is nothing to seed, then replication will not be completed. Replica mapping. So if you have these virtual machines already on your hosts, you should pick them and define them as a mapped virtual machine. So for example, this one could be a mapped virtual machine for my disaster recovery scenario. Next option is guest processing. And here you can enable application web processing for specific applications for guest OS recovery for maybe SQL, for Oracle. So here are a couple of options. If it requires successful processing, if it doesn't require successful processing, if you would like to process transaction logs with this job or not. So these options are available for you. And if you don't want to boot up a virtual machine in full, you can anytime recover specific data from it. And here I speak about application items. Not only file level recovery, but also application items is possible. And here we go with the schedule. So schedule is up to you. There is no recommended settings, but if we speak about the near CDP operations, you can schedule it for continuously synchronization or to be synchronized even on a minutes basis. Usually it's like daily. So most of customers specify this interval on the daily basis. In this case, they have more incremental more incremental data to send, but this operation is done during non-working hours maybe, and well, 1 day of RPO is fine to them mostly, because they anyway have backups, they have production environment running. But for critical environments, you can run it periodically on a minutes basis. If you don't want to process replica inside the working hours, you can just simply deny it, just like in my case. Nothing will be processed during these hours for these days. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it will save you some time, and see you in the next sections of this series. Stay tuned. Bye.